YouTube's Calfreezy and Chip, better known as the Fellas, have released their first paid-for app. But we ask, is it really worth the $6.99 a month? The app is called Fellas Loaded and offers 3 primary functions. 1, a library of all the Fellas' previous content. 2, non-watered down content, which I think is going to be one of their biggest selling points. And 3, exclusive videos. As you can see, the app is split into specials, series, bonus, and podcasts. I'm just about to upgrade to the paid version. This is the free version that just basically lets you see what it is that's on there. Some incredible artwork, but nothing really to see in terms of the free version. Sign up as simple as you'd expect. Literally load a profile picture and give yourself a username. I'm just about to pay now. I wanted to point out though, if you do go the monthly one, you can cancel at any time as you'd expect, and in fact it says you just need to give it at least 1 day before the renewal date. So that seems pretty fair. Okay, I've now opened to the paid version, and there is one very small difference. You now get this nice bevel across the top that shows you more of the content. That's pretty slick. Now I would expect anyone who's in any way decent at making apps to be able to make an app as slick as this in terms of the way that it works, but it does look good. Before I can give an honest opinion on the value of the app, we have to talk a little bit about what the Fellas actually is. Most people watching this video will already know a lot about the Fellas, but basically it is an umbrella business. They actually own the podcasts of Pitchside, they've got GK Barry, and they've got several others, and in fact Cal has actually said there's going to be more coming on board in the future. So as a business, they are involved in high quality, high profile YouTube and podcasts. Now the Fellas in particular, because obviously this is a Fellas app, their content is very much lads, and the kind of audience they are aimed towards would be probably your average listener / viewer is probably male, probably mid to late 20s, still seeking instant gratification things, so like drinks of the weekend, Mackies, maybe does drugs. I'm being very, very stereotypical here, you might be completely different to this, but that's kind of a target audience, and they keep their conversations about things like people who've been to prison, people who do drugs, OF, things that are current trending. Proddy C's knowledge of the internet is astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. Almost every guest that comes on and talks about something, he'll be like, oh yeah, I know all about that. It's absolutely phenomenal the way that dude's brain works and how much technology information goes into his skull, because seriously, Proddy C is absolutely goes. So Proddy C is a producer. Lots of the shows have got producers, but what's happened more recently is people like himself and Lewis Bowden have become much more on camera, are involved in the YouTube videos and things like this. They are essentially a big part of the crew in terms of being a presenter themselves. But obviously you've got Chip and you've got Calfreezy, and they make content that would be watered down quite a lot, particularly by YouTube, I would say. They were signed exclusively with Spotify, but in the last 3 months or so that has been cancelled. They're still on Spotify, but they can't have some of the stuff that they wanted to have going out on there, so basically that has just kind of come to an end. I kind of get why they bothered to do the app. The app is their opportunity to go, do you know what? There's so many clips that are really funny, that are really entertaining, but we have to cut them because of the restrictions. And that's essentially what you are paying for. You're paying £6.99. Now, I hate with a passion when people say things like, oh, that's less than 2 coffees, or that's less than 2 pints. No one cares about those kind of things. Those comparisons mean nothing at all. You are not talking about the amount of money. You're talking about, okay, well, I'm subscribed to a lot of things. I've got a Spotify account. I've got maybe YouTube Premium. I've got Netflix. I've got Amazon Prime. Do I really need to add another paid service? $6.99. It's not a lot of money, but in a world where people are struggling, it's still a significant amount to be paying every single month. You can pay 70 quid, you get 2 months for free. Pay 70 quid for the whole year. That's fair, depends on what you want to do. Let's have a little look at what you're actually getting. So right now, as already said, you've got exclusive access to all of their library of stuff. Now, I personally listen to the podcast. I probably wouldn't go back and re-listen or listen for the first time in terms of some of the earlier stuff. Some people may be bigger fans, and I can't compare with everyone because I have a son, I have my own content to create and things like this. So you might want to do that. I don't know if that's really what people are going to be paying the money for, thinking, oh, I can't wait to get those earlier episodes. But you do get them without ads, which is a massive thing for some people. Again, being a little bit older, I'm so used to TV ads, which are on for about 3 or 4 minutes. So ads on YouTube that are 90 seconds, it doesn't bother me as much, but each to their own in terms of unlocking those things. The series, I think, is going to be a really, really interesting section because you've got escape rooms and things like this. I've seen stuff about Cal Freeze's birthday that I haven't seen elsewhere, but the exclusives is basically what most people are going to be interested in. For example, they have released The Fellas in France. Episode 1 is on YouTube right now, so you wouldn't need the app. But episode 2 is only here. You can't watch that yet, and I could literally play it right now. So, that's what you're paying for in a nutshell right now, but what I would say, is it worth it? This is where I'm hoping I can create the fairest way to describe value for money. I took this footage at a Hearts vs Hibs Edinburgh Derby football match. Unfortunately, that footage will probably never be seen anywhere apart from these few seconds that I've just shown you, because it had to be watered down. It had to be removed because of the gestures of the crowd. Now, to me, you go and film a football crowd, particularly at a derby, with the ultras, that's what you're going to get. That's what people want to see. That, to me, was one of the best bits of the video, and it had to be removed. So I completely understand the frustration of the fellas, and I completely understand why they don't really have any option. They either don't show it, or they do an app like this. What they can't do is put things on YouTube, on their app, with the sort of premises of you can get the unfiltered, better extended version on our app for free. If they do that, people just won't really watch the YouTube one. They'll go on the app, they'll watch it on there, they'll be happy as anything. But then the guys are missing out on the income that they deserve to make because they are putting money, time, effort into making incredible content. Like this kind of content, which is all over YouTube, you see it with the Sidemen, people like that, is way, way better than anything you find on TV because it's so unfiltered and it's genuinely funny. Talking about people being able to drink, people being able to talk about wanking, being able to just be themselves, be a little bit outrageous, be X-rated, whatever you want to call it, and this is why we love the fellas. So I completely get why they had to do a paid version of an app. It has to be an amount of money. And if they'd gone $1.99, loads and loads of people would download the app and said, $1.99, no problem, like paid it, done a month, sacked it off after a month, and then they get a massive amount of downloads, but they've got inactive users. And as someone who works for a sports app, that is the last thing that you want, because then they've got to try and incentivize people to come back. It just will not work. They also can't go too high. If they start saying $10.99, people just won't pay it. If you go over the cost of Netflix, people are just going to do that instant kind of go, well, hang on. Netflix is giving me hundreds of movies and all this sort of stuff. There's nowhere near that same. So you had to go at a valuation. So I actually think price point is bang on. Now just analysing from someone who has worked paycheck to paycheck for most of my adult life, would it be worth paying £7 a month in order to have the podcast a day early and get exclusive content and content that's unfiltered? The unfiltered is part of the entertainment, so I think that is worth some amount of money. The podcast ad-free, not bothered myself, a day early, that actually works nicely for me. I listen to the fellas usually on a Wednesday afternoon and a Thursday morning because I split it. And I can now do that on a Monday evening or possibly a Tuesday morning, Tuesday night, and then listen to Pitchside the other way around. So it might be worth it for that. Again, it's not a massive plug. I don't think it's huge in my world. I don't think the back library is huge in my world. What we all want and what we all would expect is more and more stuff that isn't available elsewhere. That's what you want, and that's what you're going to be ultimately paying for. And the more that comes on board, the better the value, absolutely. So we need Cal and Chip to essentially commit to saying, this is our platform going forwards. They'll only do that if we subscribe. So I'm going to take a gamble and say I think the $6.99 is worth it right now, but I want to talk a little bit more about what's coming up. As a content creator, I'd be flattered to ever be invited to speak with these guys. And I could talk so much about how kids got kicked out of school, because I used to be the head of behaviour in secondary school at multiple schools. Obviously then leaving that to become the Darwin Núñez guy, and now working for a football app and being a full-time content creator myself. But what I would say to them if we wanted to talk about the business side of them producing this app is, can listeners or viewers get exclusive stuff? Not just content, but things like trophies, which they've already confirmed are coming in. So trophies are going to be a big part of this. That's a little kind of, yeah, I've done that. If it was me, I would mimic something that I do at work, which is reward points. Some kind of reward point system for completing videos, for watching videos, for maybe sharing specific links or whatever. Any kind of action that they want to say, yeah, these are people who are loving our stuff. You complete a video, you get given, let's say 100 points, whatever it might be. And you can use those points to buy merch from the 165th floor. And it would be even better, even more sort of personified towards the app if you could only get exclusive. For example, I work with FanHub. You cannot buy the FanHub hoodie, but you can earn it by going to games. That's what we want people to do, is to become get match going fans. When you've got this platform, I just feel that is an unbelievable open goal for these guys to get people to pay the $6.99, because it will then have more and more value. To be fair, on the profile section, you can see all your downloads, which I forgot to mention. You can download things to obviously watch them offline. And if you're a football fan, do a lot of traveling and things like that, that's a really cool function. But also you've got this opportunity to actually submit stories that they can talk about on the pod. That is pretty awesome, to be fair. So let's rate it as an app. It would get a 5-star rating from me in terms of how it works. Its functionality is perfect. I've seen one bug, but that's to be expected. Is it actually worth $6.99 though? I feel like you have to invest into things like this, because otherwise they just can't do it. They need to have enough people to push them to make this the app that it can be. The app this could be is completely forget about YouTube, apart from using a little bit of advertisement on there, and have all of the best and completely unwatered down content on here. And for £6.99, the entertainment you're getting is well worth it. Right now, I can see people being on the fence, and I can understand that. As they introduce more and more and more, I think this was only going to grow. I personally am going to keep paying the £6.99 a month because it's worth it to me. But you guys can choose for yourself. Let me know in the comments, are you going to buy the Fellas Load?